I want to talk about Trump because there's been a very interesting development now within the intel community around Trump. Tulsi Gabbard late on Friday, and I just want to say, as on all things, I am a truly honest broker on this. I'm still trying to figure out what's real. I don't know.
Like who she is accusing of what, for instance?
No, whether she's right and Matt Taibbi, who I love, is right, that this is a bombshell and it's terrible and people really could go to jail, or whether Andy McCarthy at National Review, who I love and respect and who's totally honest broker too, is correct that this is a complete nothing burger and she's totally off and apparently hasn't read her own CIA director's release of last week. And that he would suggest she hasn't really been following the Russiagate scandal because everything she just told us is old. And so I'm really trying to figure out, but just to set it up for the audience, because it's very complex. On Friday night, Tulsi Gabbard went on Fox News and said that she'd found documents that she was releasing that show, in sum and substance, that one day the intelligence community under Barack Obama was ready to come out and say that the Russians did not interfere in the 2016 election and really had no part in it. And that whole thing was kind of bullshit. Then Barack Obama pulled them all into the White House. They had a big meeting. And then literally the next day, they were like, Russia interfered to help Trump, and leaked it to all the reporters, Washington Post. And the suggestion is that Obama turned to them and said, I'm not having a report coming out of you guys saying that they didn't interfere. Our whole narrative is that Hillary would have won had it not been for the Russians. Now, give me a report that says that. That's the implication. And that then the intel community did it, and the subservient Washington press corps ran with it. And that's how the narrative really took off, that the Russians had gotten Trump elected. Okay, so Andy McCarthy's point in response is, okay, you're talking apples and oranges. What they said prior to the Obama meeting was, we've seen nothing to suggest the Russians hacked election machines, even though they tried in a couple of places, but that they were not able to do anything technologically that would have altered the outcome of an election with raw vote. Then they have the Obama meeting, and then they come out. And it's true that their report that they issued then was all about the ways Russia did interfere, like fake articles about Hillary, bots that circulated negative news about her, and they hacked the DNC mail, which is how we have a lot of the admissions we have from her and her terrible family. Anyway, he's saying it's apples to oranges. And while she is producing now emails that do show they were ready to say no interference when it comes to election machines prior, that we kind of knew everything that she's saying already. I'm going to show you her announcement. I think we have it, guys, don't we? On Friday night. Yeah, Sat 9. Let's play it.
Spells out in great detail exactly what happens when you have some of the most powerful people in our country directly leading at the helm, President Obama and his senior-most national security cabinet, James Comey, John Brennan, James Clapper, and Susan Rice, and others, essentially making a very intentional decision to create this manufactured, politicized piece of intelligence with the objective of subverting the will of the American people. The list goes on and on about the consequences of President Obama and his senior cabinet members politicizing intelligence once again, and I say these words very clearly, to enact what was essentially a years-long coup, subverting the will of the American people.
One of the other points Andy made was that he's not a fan of Tulsi. He wasn't behind her confirmation. But he's also saying it's not a surprise to him that Tulsi Gabbard would try to exonerate Russia entirely and instead blame America, right? Like sort of say Russia didn't do anything whatsoever. And his point is she's overstating it. Russia did do some things, but it didn't cost Hillary the election. Andy doesn't contend that. But that we're now sort of manufacturing something for press clicks and possibly indictments that may not be there. Anybody want to take this?
I mean, look, I'll say this. I am with you. I'm not sure what she's doing, because I think what she's trying to argue is it wasn't determinative to the outcome. But there is no debate Russia tried to influence the election. As you say, they bought ads on YouTube. They bought ads on Facebook. They had chat bots. They hacked email. They wanted Donald Trump to win. Now, the question was, did the Trump campaign collude? Robert Mueller ruled there was no definitive proof that they colluded. But I'm not sure I almost get the sense that what she's saying is like, they didn't try to interfere in the election. And what's also fact is the Obama administration, the last month of the campaign, was aware of what was going on and struggled. Do they go public with this? Do they put it out? If we do, it's going to look like we're trying to tip the scales. After the election, they huddled and said, we need to get out, both as like a PSA, hey, Russia, you tried to do this and we're aware of it. And then they said, was there collusion? Was there perhaps something more there? I think that latter part they wanted to put out into the kind of, mainstream to be like, someone needs to go look at this, right? And obviously that enraged Trump, and he didn't want, he wanted everyone to know that he did this. But I'm not sure what she's implying. If there's real signs of crime or malfeasance, then by, goodness, put it out and let the public see it. But I'm very skeptical.
Mm-hmm. I don't. Have you looked at this? I mean, it's very smart people who I normally trust are in diametric disagreement on it.
If she sees a crime, she's got to say who and what law they broke. It's just too vague. I'll pick up on a point Dan made, which I know because I did a lot of reporting on this. They really did struggle with what to say. They didn't want to let the Russians go uncalled out in public, but they also didn't want to be accused of trying to make it seem like the Russians were doing something. They were pretending the Russians were doing something to help Hillary. I actually think there's 19 things you could list that say cost Hillary Clinton the election, and this is one of them. It was very close. You don't know what would have happened otherwise, but I think Russia helped Trump win substantially, not through collusion, but because they wanted Trump to win, and that is something she's playing down. What she's playing up is that they somehow broke the law in trying to protect Hillary Clinton. And again, I just
she's
don't
suggesting
see the
they
specifics.
manufactured it. She's basically suggesting this is the same thing as COVID, where the scientists went from, this looks like it came from a lab. We've never seen such a virus from an animal. And then after Fauci and Collins browbeated them, they came out and they were like, it's definitely not from a lab. It's from a pangolin.
They're people associated with Barack Obama who leaned into collusion without a doubt. And that wrong. I don't know if it's against the law. It was dirty pool. But mostly what they said was the Russians interfered with the election, and they did.
I think this is a little bit of cosmic karma. Everything comes full circle because Tulsi was accused by Hillary Clinton and the Obamas, I believe, of being like a Russian asset. I think she went on The View and said she's owned by Russia. She's a Russian puppet. And Tulsi was coming out saying, I'm nobody's puppet. I've served this country. I'm a woman in uniform, as she is, and she's a rock star. But yeah, no, I think this is a little bit of cosmic karma. She gets to now come out and say, look at what we've just uncovered in these files. But I think it's Monday. Maybe by the end of the day, we'll have more information because I read on the way over here, she's now given something to the DOJ or
She said it's going to come out this week. We're going to see leak.
I think it was weird Friday night to make the announcement with everything going on.
I know. Why? They put out news that's bad for them heading into a weekend after a holiday. They put out news that's good for them on Friday night.
Hannity will be here Monday, so I don't know. I have to go on tonight.
That might have been an Epstein circle.
I was just going to say.
Maybe.
Yes.
I'm not sure that's going to work either. Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they're moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your own personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. OMG. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by buying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold extremely easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.